Oh, I'm feeling low again.
Hello and welcome to Domino One. I'm your host, Smith Paul, and today I have absolutely great news. Groundbreaking news. I have figured out a way to stop the amount of abortions that we're having every single year in this country. Groundbreaking. Groundbreaking. I know. But guess what? Right off the bat, that is my claim. The way to stop the amount of abortion, I'm not going to say we're going to stop it completely because I don't think that's possible for a lot of reasons that we'll discuss in the show. But I think we can reduce it significantly by, drumroll, getting married. I know, I told you it was revolutionary. Getting married could absolutely solve the amount of abortion that we have each year in this country. The amount of abortion is absolutely astounding, which I will go over those numbers with you. But right off the bat, let me just say, in our society right now, like certain topics, it doesn't matter how it affects us as a mass, as the masses, like the whole country, if you will. The moment it's been politicized, we don't want to talk about it anymore. It doesn't matter how much it affects us. It doesn't matter how much it's affecting our neighbor or families. We don't want to talk about it anymore because it's been quote unquote politicized. Well, I'm here to tell you that for the most part, there's no such thing. If you choose to be trapped in this whole political thing, this is a political matter, it's a political topic, we don't want to talk about it. Well, guess what? That's not going to stop the problem from keep on happening. So you choosing to not want to talk about it means what? Well, nothing really. And I think that's the worst thing that we can do when we just start politicizing or let certain topics be politicized and then we choose not to talk about it because it's just too incendiary. It's too divisive. We don't want to talk about it. But that's not right. So today, if you are far right, all righty, whatever you want to call it, and you were one of those abortion is always wrong. Whenever a woman has an abortion, it's just wrong. I'll never accept it. Blah, 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 blah. This is not for you. If you are far left, a lefty, we should have abortions whenever we feel like it. Our body, our choice, and nobody's going to tell us what to do. Abortion, blah, 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 blah. This is not for you again. I'm sorry. This video is for the people, which I know there will be a lot of you out there. I know there are a lot of you out there. I'll run into you. I have neighbors that way. I have family members that way. You want to have a constructive conversation about why so many kids, babies are being killed. I don't believe in abortion. But with that being said, I'm not going to be telling you that abortion should never happen, period, because I know there are nuances to it. It's not as cut and dry. It's not as black and white. There are moments where the doctor's going to ask you, hey, listen, this is where we are. And there's no other way past that without the mother's life being at risk, or different things could happen, right? And allow me to tell you a personal story. So me and my wife, we have 4 kids. When we were trying for a 3rd kid, so something absolutely horrendous happened. I was at work. My wife called me. I'll try to make the story very short. My wife called me saying that her water broke. And I believe it was around 17 weeks or so, somewhere around there. Super, super early. Too early for the baby to survive. But we prayed and we believed that God will do something, and we believed that there was a way for the outcome to be different. We went through everything, rushed to the hospital. The one hospital we were at, they said they couldn't do anything. We're trying to get life flighted to a bigger hospital about an hour and 15 minutes away. And so they ended up saying there's no chance. If we go, this is it's just not going to happen. We still had a heartbeat, and my wife tried to stay as stable as possible to hopefully save the baby's life. And so I ended up driving her an hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes away. And we got there. I remember precisely as our church, everybody was praying for us, and we were praying as well for a different outcome, for a better outcome. And so the doctors, there were 5 doctors combined, probably had about 100 years of experience. And they said, you don't want to have this baby. We're sorry, but you don't want to have this baby. It's too early. The baby's going to be born with all sorts of defect, if even. and the baby's not going to live long, and you're putting your life at risk. So I'm telling you that very personal story, not because I want you to feel bad for us. We've gotten over it. My wife was able to have 2 more kids, and we're very blessed. We love our kids always well. Biggest gift that we've ever received. I told you that story just because for those of you on the right thinking that there's never a good time for an abortion, you should never have it. Again, I think that's when you make this problem too political. And on the left, when you're so willy-nilly about just having an abortion whenever you feel like it and not take responsibility, I think that's the worst thing that you could do. And on the topic of responsibility, before we dive deeper into it, one of my favorite quotes from Abraham Lincoln, I have it written down right there. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. So whatever reason that you have to have an abortion, you better think about it twice, because this is a baby. I believe this is a baby. That's a life. So the responsibility needs to be first in your mind. Now, let's dive into it. I believe getting married will save babies, less abortion. For those of you who are numbers people, which I am too, that was my thoughts, my idea from the beginning. But I wanted to find numbers to back that up. But before I go even deeper, I know I keep saying that, did you know I love Celine Dion? I think Celine Dion is amazing. She has the voice of an angel. Did you know? So I went online and then did a little research. Celine Dion, I'll read it off. Her mother was advised by a priest to keep her as she was considering abortion due to financial struggles. Would we have had a Celine Dion, all these beautiful hits, beautiful music, the voice of that just melts like butter? We wouldn't have had her if they went through with the abortion. Justin Bieber. Are you a Bieber fan? There you go. Comment below if you are. I like Justin Bieber too. His mother was a teen encouraged to terminate the pregnancy. I'm glad that her mother didn't do that, because we wouldn't have had a Justin Bieber if she did that. You got Jack Nicholson. You got Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow, his mother was advised to abort due to life-threatening health issues during pregnancy. We like Tim Tebow. Steve Jobs. You got an iPhone in your hand right now? Well, then you should know who Steve Jobs is. His mother was pressured to have an abortion, but decided to give him up for adoption instead. I can go on and on. This list is long, people. My goal being, I think I've made it pretty clear already. I'm never going to say you should never have an abortion, because situations can be different. That's just a fact of life. But at the same time, I believe in life. I believe it doesn't matter how fast or how early it is. You got a heartbeat, you got a baby in there. Stephen Curry, basketball fans out there, Splash Brothers, one of the Splash Brothers. His mother has shared she considered abortion, but chose to keep him. Arguably the best shooter in the NBA history. His mother thought about having an abortion. She didn't. Now we have Steph Curry. Now let's dive into the numbers. My reasoning as to why I believe getting married could save more babies, less abortion. Now let's look at the numbers. According to, and all these, you can go online, specifically on CDC, you can find a lot of that information. I didn't dig that deep to find any of that stuff. When you look at married women, have a ratio of 37 per 100 live births, and unmarried women, 36 per, I'm sorry, I said 100, sorry. Married women, 37 per 1,000 live births. Unmarried women, 176 per 1,000 live births. So what that tells you, when you are married, when you are in a family structure, you have a husband, you have the family structure that tells you, by the way, when you look at this, I'm not just speaking from a spiritual perspective, right? So from a spiritual perspective, when you get married, obviously we understand what marriage is. We should respect marriage, the sanctity of marriage. But sometimes, even if you're not Christians, you may be from the secular world, you got married, obviously that's the time when you were waiting. If you want to have kids, I respect people who don't want to have kids. If you were waiting to have kids, that's the moment that you've been waiting for, because you understand within the marriage, there is a commitment between the husband and the wife to make this work. So there's no such, and I know a lot of people, a lot of people who, after they got married, weren't exactly ready to have kids yet. And somehow they call them, I don't know, like surprise babies, right? They didn't abort them because they were already in this frame where if a baby were to come at any time, they're married. They were expecting it, whether not so quickly, but they were expecting it to come, right? So marriage protects babies, really. Quite frankly, there's no other ways to put it. When you are married, you know whether the baby comes by surprise or you plan on having a baby, you welcome it because it's already in its safe zone. But unmarried women, when you look at 376 per thousand, that's a lot of abortions. And the amount of abortions here, according to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 613,000 abortions were aborted in 2022. That's an astounding number. Now, I know a lot of you may be watching and wondering, oh, do you, as you're saying, are you putting all women in the same category and stuff for that? People perform abortions for a variety of reasons, which I've already made it clear. I don't believe, I'm not a far right kind of guy, but like my ideologies don't ideologies don't lie with the far right ideology where it doesn't matter what you do, or I don't know what you want to call it, far right or extremely religious, whatever you want to call it. I'm one to believe that it's not as cut and dry. But with that being said, it's not an excuse for people to just do it willy nilly. So I don't know where you want to put me. I just know where I am with regards to this problem. I just think too many abortions are being performed, too many babies are being killed. And I think as a society where we should at least pride ourselves in just common sense and value for life, we got to start there. That's literally the beginning of all of it. If we want to say that we believe in lives, we believe all lives matter, we believe that the babies, the kids are the future to the next generation, and it's our job to make it right so that when we're no longer there, we know that we're leaving this world in good hands. We got to start there. We can't be having 313,000 abortions per year. That's an astounding number, you know? So I think we got to start there. And again, getting married. That doesn't mean that the only way to stop it is by getting married. But you can't argue the numbers when I'm telling you married women have a rate of 37 abortion per thousand when unmarried women have about 376 per thousand. Can you argue those numbers? Those are not my numbers. Go online and you'll find those numbers yourself. It might fluctuate a little bit, but the point is, it's about 10 times higher to have unmarried women have abortions as opposed to married women. Now, unmarried women, let's kind of dig into that a little bit. Let's unpack a little bit. Unmarried women are not only women, we're talking about anybody from, I don't know, the age of 12, 13, 14, whether you've been married and divorced, whether you've never been married, whether you, I don't know, like anybody who's never or not having babies within the marriage structure. Those are the people that I'm talking about when I allude to unmarried women. It's bad, people. So we got to do something about that. Now, moving on. So we can talk about the reason also. I think it's apropos to talk about the reason why unmarried women have so many abortions. It's not just, I don't want the baby and I just want to abort. And I was just out there having fun and something happened, a mistake happened. We didn't plan on this. So that baby is going to completely destroy my life. I'm in college. I don't think I can handle a baby. I'm too immature. I'm way too young. But there's a bucket load of excuse people use out there. But it goes a little bit deeper than those superficial type of excuses. We talk about economically, people who have abortion, there's a very high percentage of those people within that bracket. So when we talk about abortion, again, we're not just talking about somebody who's in college and just too young. There are many, many, many people having abortion. So how can we fix that? Now that's where we kind of go deeper into like the political aspect of it. So if we're talking about political within the economic level, the poverty level, having more abortion. So again, I talked about the super type of excuses people have, and there are a lot of them. And but the poverty level. So people within the poverty level don't think that they have the ability to take care of their kids. And I think I talked to you about somebody who almost did that, somebody very famous, because precisely for that reason. If I could find it, I would talk about it again. Who was that? Super. I think it was it Tim Tebow? No, Tim Tebow was life threatening. Who was it? Oh, by the way, Cher. Are you a fan of Cher? Cher, whatever her name is, her mother reportedly changed her mind at the last minute at an abortion clinic. Do you believe it? That's her. We wouldn't have had that hit. I just had to say that. That's what's beautiful about it. Like whenever I was prepping for this episode, I just found it astounding. Those super, super iconic people within our society wouldn't have been there if they had chosen the route of having abortion. Think about that. Man, it's incredible. But there was one there, I don't remember who it was, that financial reason was the reason why they were gonna have an abortion. And so they didn't. And I'm glad they didn't. And so again, many abortions patients are already parents. That's another thing. So and that's within the marriage structure and outside of it. So those are the cases that are more complicated to just make a decision. That's why I'm never gonna be on the far right of that issue or on the far left of that issue because it's more complicated than that. So according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 47% of U.S. household are a married household. That's not the part I was looking for. But again, that here's another point: the decline in marriage since 1960. I think right now we're sitting at, I think we're in the 40s. I think it's 47%. We're in the 1960, don't quote me on that. I think it was about 70 something percent of young Americans were married, something along those lines. So yes, I do think that has something to do with it as well. Young people are not married as young as they used to be married, not having enough people being married and trying to have kids or not having kids. So that does play a role in it as well. And so if I believe, which I do believe, marriage is a way to reduce the rate of abortion, which statistically we know that. So maybe we should also work on going back to the old days where people were getting married a lot younger. Comment below and let me know what you think. And I'm sure one of your comments might be the economy is awful. I get it. It is awful. I have 4 kids, so I can tell you it is. And things are tough. Things are expensive. But then again, I don't believe that things are going to be perfect. And it certainly does not take a perfect world for you to start having kids. If that's what we're going to wait to see, then I got bad news for you. We're not going to go anywhere. The next generation is going to be suffering from lack of, well, people, lack of kids. I mean, look at what's happening in China right now. You know, they used to have their one baby policy, and now they're hurting because the next generation, they're in need of some new souls, new bodies, younger youth. They don't have a ton of that. I think similar things happening in Japan and all throughout different countries or continent in the all throughout the world. So the kids are the future, and you've heard that, and it always will be. I mean, mathematically, just think about it. I one day will be very old, and I am no longer going to be able to participate or do a lot of things that I'm doing right now. I have 4 kids that I'm inculcating the right values into them so that one day they can grow up to be important people in the world and do even more than I was able to do, right? And so that's always been the cycle. Spiritually speaking, God wants us to go and populate the world and reproduce and have kids and instruct them the right way to go about life, to love, to help people, to forgive people, to be compassionate, and all the above, spiritually speaking. But I don't think it's that much more different when you look at it from any other lens. We are supposed to help the next generation not only to be better, to supersede what we have done, but to position them to do so. And I don't think we do that by killing them, if I'm going to be honest with you, if I'm going to be very frank. The idea that we're going to, in 2022, what is it, over 600,000 kids were aborted. I think that's a horrible thing. 613,000 in 2022. That's a horrible thing. We got to do better than that. Um, and by the way, among reporting areas in 2022, 87.7 of abortion patients were unmarried. Again, all that information is online. You can just Google it. I found most of what I'm looking at right now from the CDC website, and 13.3% of that amount that I just gave you in 2022 were married people. So 12.3% versus 87%. 87% unmarried, 12.3% married. I think I made my case pretty clearly. I'm sure other people are going to have different opinions. Please do comment below. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Please share it. The whole point of this conversation is for us to have a conversation, which is why I said at the beginning, if you're far left, this may not be for you. If you're far right, this may not be for you either. I'm sitting right here on what I believe to be the facts, and we can debate it. We can talk about it. We can have a conversation. Why? It's because if we don't talk about it, we keep saying that this topic is so politicized and so divisive. Okay, all those might be true, but does that mean that we don't talk about it? And for any of you, for left or right, who are thinking about just posting or comment on this video, while I do appreciate it, if you think about commenting something just rude and be disrespectful, you are wasting your time because I don't have time for it. It just doesn't affect me because I'm looking to have a conversation with the people out there who believe that those numbers are unacceptable and we should do something about it. Let's have a conversation about it, right? As somebody with 4 kids, I'm the biggest proponent of having kids and build a family. On this channel, I talk a lot about CSA. I talk a lot about victims who've been abused and trying to give them a voice. I've written my book on that, Scars Beneath the Skin. I talk about a lot of things. I believe in foundation. If you don't have a solid foundation, there's pretty much set for failure. And so in this context, the foundations are the kids, the babies, starting with the babies all the way up to kids, young adults. That's the foundation that we have to build for them so that they have a better future. Well, we don't start building a foundation at all if we're going to kill them. Sorry to be crass, but that's just what it is. When you perform an abortion and all the nuances, your life's not in danger. You went out there and just live a life of just reckless life. And then at the end of the day, you find yourself being pregnant. And now you find that it's going to ruin your life. And the next best thing you see in your head is to perform an abortion. That's not okay. Which is why, again, one of my favorite quotes from Abraham Lincoln, I'll read it to you again, quote, "You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today." So you can live your life thinking that every time you get pregnant, and I've seen a lot, one of the saddest things that I've seen is when you see people on social media just because they hate a policy or because they hate a politician that supports life and against abortion, they brag about the fact that they've had 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 abortions. I mean, that's when I see society at its lowest level, because the idea that you're going to brag about something that's so horrible, it's astounding. It really is. Because right now, there are a lot of things that's happening politically speaking that I don't like, whether it's from the left or the right. Going back to foundation, I always want to make sure that my foundation is solid enough so that whenever those things are happening, whether it's from the left or from the right, it doesn't affect me the way that it's going to manipulate me. It's going to get me off track. It's going to get me to go off script. It's going to get me to lose who I am and get so angry and so exercised that I'm going to post about something so horrendous. And I think that's why I also talk about the fact that I don't trust any politicians. And I'm not trying to get too much in the weeds, but since a lot of topics nowadays, the moment a politician talks about them, it's been politicized. It hasn't been politicized. They just talked about it. It's a societal issue that we are dealing with. We can take politics out of it. We can take the hatred out of it and look at the numbers for what they are. And the numbers, again, for the last time, to back up my claim that When you get married, you save lives because you will have less abortion. Not my words. According to the CDC, married women, again, 37 per thousand live births. Unmarried women, 376 per thousand live births. So when you're not married, according to the numbers, married people have way less abortion, which means more lives are being saved. It's not complicated. And again, to reiterate this, I'm not one to believe that abortion is never an option. I shared a personal story with you at the beginning, which I didn't plan on doing, but I just think it's apropos because sometimes people feel like you just talk. Despite somebody who might be watching this video and thinking like I'm just another talking head, I make sure what I talk about, not only I'm not venturing to the hatred world of social media where people are just like hurling insults from left to right to others and hoping to get clicks. I don't care about that. I always tell people that I have a specific audience. And if you didn't know about now, my specific audience are exactly dab smack in the middle. The people who not just listen to the left and just ingest everything that they say, and then this is the gospel now then. Or vice versa, listening to the right and ingesting everything that they said, and now that becomes their personality, who they are. They are labeled as the left or as the right. Me? No, sir. No, man. That's not where I'm at. Where I'm at is I have 4 kids in this world, and I am keen to make sure that their lives will be better than mine, which I believe should be the goal of every single parent listening to this podcast in America, living in this country. I think the kids being the future, we have to do everything at any cost to make sure that they have a better future. They are safe. I will be talking more about kids being unsafe with the whole Epstein stuff, all the, you know, pedos that are out there, all the people seeking to do harm to our kids. I talk about parents being vigilant. I had a video about that, about fatherless home, and I'll be talking a lot more about that. But for the purpose of this topic, this is about the amount of abortions, amount of babies being killed. That is just absolutely unacceptable. And if you feel like, I'm being unjust, despite me taking so much time to really construct my thoughts and deliver them to you, you're more than welcome to comment. Let me know what you think. I read the comments, even the bad ones. I'm just telling you, the bad ones just don't get to me because I'm focused on one goal. I already know there are haters out there, so they do nothing to me, right? I'm always going to be focusing on what the right thing is, and together we're going to learn. This was a short video, short-ish, and yeah, let's think about how we can make our world better. Let's think about how we can reduce the amount of abortion that's happening in the world, in this country, in this society. It is very sickening. I'll leave you with that. So when I was living in PA, there was a banquet that I used to go to where they help, I think, CRP, something like that. It's in State College. Jenny Summers, great person. She's the director, and she helps young, any phase of life. If you are a pregnant women, you just go into the clinic. They give you the support that you need so that abortion is the last thing that you think about, despite how hard it might be for you to not support the baby. They give you different avenues, different options as to why you should keep the baby, right? And so one day we had a doctor who used to perform abortions for women, and he had performed thousands of them. If you've never listened to somebody like that, if you don't know how abortions are performed, how gruesome it is, how inhumane it is, I suggest that you go do that. Because though you hear the word abortion, you understand the concept, you understand what it is. If you've never watched a doctor whose main job is to abort babies, if you don't know what they do with those babies once they abort them, please educate yourself, because that was so enlightening and to hear a doctor talking about that. And I can guarantee you, when I was in that room at that banquet, there were thousands of people there. You could hear a pin drop. That's how quiet it was. Because that stuff, we talk about stuff all the time. We live in the social media world where people just like so happy to monetize stuff, whether it's to be more incendiary, just be more negative, because we know negativity sells. This video won't do as good, maybe, because it's not as important. But if you've ever been through a situation like that, and I also feel for mothers or women who have been through it. I gotta tell you, is not an easy thing. I know people who have been through it, very, very close to me. It is not an easy thing. We should seek to support these people, seek to tell them the value in having the baby. And at any point, if you cannot take care of the baby, instead of aborting the baby, there are people dying to adopt your baby. There are people who cannot physically have babies. All they want is to have one. They have so much love to give, but they cannot have babies. Don't abort your kid. Don't abort your baby. Don't abort your baby. If it isn't life-threatening to you, if it isn't your doctor telling you so many things that we don't usually think about that could happen, whether it's to the baby, again, you think about what is valid enough. But the most valid thing should not be, I have too much going on right now. This baby's going to ruin my future. To the contrary. To the contrary. If Justin Bieber's mother had said that, you wouldn't have had Justin Bieber right now. You wouldn't have had Celine Dion. Again, Justin Bieber, Jack Nicholson, Tim Tebow, Steve Jobs, Cher, Susan Boyle, Steph Curry. And the list goes on. Those are the people, the huge icons that we know today, that their parents, their mothers decided otherwise. Some of them were already at the clinic. I think that was Cher. I hope I'm saying that right. Her mother was already at the clinic minutes before she decided to not do that. I mean, I don't know how else to really make it clear to you guys that it's not worth it. To the contrary, be the mother of a Cher, of a Steve Jobs, of a Steph Curry. Be proud of the task at hand. Yes, I wasn't ready for it. Going to ruin quite a bit of things because I was in college, because I just got this job and it requires me to be there 5-6 days a week. I don't have money. Yes, it's going to ruin a lot of things. But guess what? It's also going to give you the most fulfillment in life. So don't take the easy way out. Keep the baby and do the right thing, and do not perform an abortion because it will not help you in the future. Trust me, it builds character, and you'll be happy that you did. It will be happy because to be the mother of Steph Curry, I'm sure she's super, super proud of him right now. Thank you for watching. Again, if you got any value out of this video, I would appreciate it if you not only share it with your friends, even the ones that don't agree. As a matter of fact, share it with the people who don't agree so that they can see a different perspective, as long as they're open to see a different perspective, to learn together, and to believe that they can be wrong. And that's why I always tell people to comment below. I might have a blind side. I believe in marriage wholeheartedly. I believe in family. Kids, I love kids. Perhaps I have a blind side. Do I? Comment below. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Till next time, subscribe and take care. Bye-bye. Hey, yeah, you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Like, subscribe, and share it. Help us spread the word.